Alright, now I'll go through and show you how I do a water change. This is my 90-gallon SPS tank. A little sneak peek here on the tank. I also have a tank tour video that I am currently working on that will be posted shortly. First thing you want to do is clean any algae off of the glass. But because I scrape this glass once a day, the glass isn't very dirty. So I want to find any spots that maybe the algae is starting to grow back on. And it's good to scrape the glass every day. That way there's less work involved when you actually have to scrape the glass. You don't have so much algae on there. And plus the film algae on the glass, when you scrape it off, it's a nice food for any of your filter feeders in the tank. Now, like I have on my 20-gallon, I also have an automatic top-off system on this tank, so I need to disconnect that. Like so, and that disconnects the pump so that when I siphon the water out of the tank, I don't pump a bunch of RO water into the tank. I also want to turn off my return pump. And I have all my cords marked, so I'm not trying to figure out which cord is for what. Take my siphon hose, open up the lid, and I siphon 2 buckets out of this tank per week. You should really do a 10 to 20% water change per week. Try to get the water in the bucket and not all over the floor. And you can go around with the siphon hose if you see anything floating around in the water. Sometimes it's a good thing to just very lightly go over the rocks. I don't do any gravel cleaning. I let my cleanup crew do that work for me. This bucket's almost filled. You want to very quickly close off the end of the hose so you don't get a bunch of water all over the floor, and fill up the other bucket. Okay, you can see the water level's getting pretty low in here. But our buckets are also full. You probably want to turn off any type of recirculating pumps that you have inside the tank. I have mine set up so it doesn't splash the water out of the tank. So now it's time to put the water back in. Now, in order to put the water back into the tank, I have kind of a slick setup. I have my brute container hooked up with a wheeled dolly, and the same Mag Drive 5 pump that's in here for recirculating the water, I also use for filling the tank. So I have my hose here with a little fitting on the end. Pull the pump out of the water. Connect the hose. Put the pump back in. Get this into position. And I just add the water down into my sump here. The first thing that I'll do is plug back in my return pump. You can see right here I have a tape mark. This is where the level needs to be, and the water is starting to come down, filling back into the display tank. Put my hose into the sump. Plug in the pump. Now, of course, if you don't have a sump, you just add the water right into the tank. And looks like we're full. We'll give it a second to level off here. My hose out of the way. And I've actually added a little bit too much water. You can see that the water level is right here and it needs to be right down here. So I'm going to siphon out just a small amount of water. That's about maybe 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons. And then we'll be good to go. I've siphoned a couple gallons out and you can see that the water level is right even with the tape line. Well, now that our water change is done, it's time to empty out the protein skimmer, any filter pads that you may have on your tank. It's a good time to do that. Do it all at once, get yourself into a routine so you don't forget about your maintenance. The very last thing that I do is I take a rag that I have moistened with some RO water. That way you won't get any mineral spots on the glass. I just wipe down the glass for any saltwater splashes that you may have gotten. And then take another dry, soft rag. I use terry cloth towels like you would use for washing a car. They're nice and soft, they're absorbent. Go over once to dry the tank. Then I flip the towel over. Then I actually go and buff the glass. The glass gets nice and clear by doing this, and you're not using any chemicals at all. While we're on the topic of doing a water change, a couple little tips I'd like to give you. The first one is very important. Water and electricity, they do not mix. You should always have your aquariums plugged into a GFI outlet. If you don't have a GFI outlet, what you can do is you can buy one of these plug-in units. This is a Shockbuster brand. You can buy these on the internet. All you do is you plug this in to a grounded outlet and it turns that outlet into a GFI. This could save your life. If you had a heater or a power head malfunction and you had electricity into the water and you placed your hand into the water, you could get electrocuted. Not to mention any stray voltage that's in the tank is harmful for any of the inhabitants. Either a permanently mounted GFI outlet or a portable one like this is a must. And this was less than $20 on the internet. One other tip is preparation before you're going to do any type of maintenance or putting your hands into an aquarium is to thoroughly rinse your hands and your arms off. You don't want to get any soap, any type of hand lotion, anything like that into your tank. So I'll go in, I'll scrub my hands real well, I'll go underneath my nails and make sure that I'm not getting anything into my tank. Then I dry my hands and my arms off with towels that I use specifically only for aquarium use. And when these towels need to be washed, I just throw them into the washing machine with water only. You don't want to use soap. And just let them line dry. And that way you've got towels that you are assured of that are not going to put any type of impurities into your tank. Now I know some of you out there may think that I'm going overboard with all this, but I would rather be safe than sorry. You have a lot of money invested in your aquarium, and to contaminate it with a small amount of soap underneath the nail or on your hands, it's just not worth it. Better safe than sorry. And until next time, happy reefing.